Good morning, my dear friends. Welcome to another episode. Recently, I talked about what new varieties of dahlias will appear in my garden. So now it's time to force those dahlias. I also mentioned that dahlias don't do well for me. If I don't force them, if I plant them directly in the garden, usually the slugs eat them before they start to grow. But if I force them, meaning I put them in pots, trays, or boxes, then they'll start to grow leaves. They'll be about this size and they'll be sitting in the greenhouse a bit earlier, actually from mid-March. And then when I plant these bigger bushes in the garden, I can expect beautiful flowers. Dahlia, so today we'll do it together. Yes, just as the better weather is definitely approaching us in big steps, and surely those spring beautiful long bright days are coming too, our main project is also approaching. As every year for the 4th season now, I invite you to participate in the WOW Garden Project. The WOW Garden Project is a project where we visit various gardens. We show these gardens twice, let's say in spring, in May, and in August or September, when the gardens are already mature. Seasonally, we tell the stories of people. We show what they struggle with, what successes they have, and what failures they experience at work. In the garden, we show how important the garden is to people's lives, and of course, we show beautiful plants and beautiful garden designs. That's why you and your neighbor, if they have a nice garden, and remember, it doesn't have to be anything extraordinary. Every garden is wow for its owner, and that's exactly what we want to show. That's why I encourage you to read the description below this video and sign up for the WOW Garden Project. Because the project is not just about showcasing gardens, sometimes there are also gifts from our partners, so you can also expect some interesting additions for your garden. Today I'm going to be forcing, planting and dividing dahlias that I got from Ashka from Fabi Pod Groblon. I even dressed to match the color of these tubers, just to keep things consistent. Because if we're working with dahlias, which means working with colors, we really need to pay close attention to how we combine them. Let's get to the point. I've sorted them out. I've already picked out these tubers. I've taken a look at them. Some I'll plant whole, others I'll cut a bit. For example, I'll cut off one tuber to propagate the dahlias more. But before I do that this year, as I already mentioned in the video about potted plants, I want to use various types of soil from previous years to improve it a bit, to enrich it a bit and use it. Once again, I won't throw it away, so I have these pots where honestly I don't even know what was growing. I'm throwing them out live in front of you. I haven't even checked what's inside, so these are the pots where something was growing. I suspect there was some herbs there. Oh, I see something here, some herbs or maybe some annuals, definitely annuals. Look, they overwintered in these pots. I think this soil was well frozen. Now it needs to be improved a bit, so I'll add some perlite here. I'll add a bit of granulated manure, so something will start happening here. And I'll add some regular soil that I have from bags. You can also just add compost, and that's great. Just mix everything together. And once I have this kind of soil, I'll be able to use it for planting dahlias to help the dahlias get a head start. So now I'm mixing the ingredients I mentioned, and the soil will be ready in a moment. The soil is mixed, so now it can be used to plant dahlias. Listen, I'm choosing a bigger pot this time because I have my eye on a larger this tuber. Of course, I remember to label Sweet Natalie. This will be Sweet Natalie, and I'm leaving a note here right away. But before I plant it, I'd like to propagate this dahlia a bit. So look, I have some small tubers that have broken off here. Maybe I'll cut off another piece. Maybe I'll manage to get another one somewhere here. Oh, look, I'm checking if there's one that's already almost separated somewhere, one that's just barely attached. Because sometimes they're like that. I've got another one, okay? And now I'm putting this bigger one, the big one, into my pot. Don't worry that the pot is almost exactly the same size. Dahlias really have very large tubers, so sometimes you need a bigger pot. Another way is that we can take a bigger container and simply plant one dahlia variety in it, in this container. For example, 4 or 5 tubers, cover them with soil, water them, and later just take them out and transplant them. The downside is that when you take them out of the container, everything falls apart, but here it won't fall apart, so I'll plant them in pots like this. Oh, I still have a piece here. I have it prepared this way. Look, it's not. I won't fill it all the way with soil. It's enough to just cover the tubers and leave a bit at the top. I don't have to cover everything. I add soil in such a way that, look, the soil I've prepared is already nice and loose, so it will get in between all the little tubers. Oh, I prefer to leave a little bit here so that the top is still visible. Oh. In this way, of course, I have to remember to put in the label. I'll sign it in a moment, but for now, I just place it like this. I water it and leave it in the greenhouse, waiting for it to produce new green shoots. And pay attention when it produces those tiny green shoots. I'll definitely show you that on Instagram. How it's done is when they reach that size, I gently cut them with a knife together with a part of the mother dahlia and put them into these mini pots, or actually into multi-cell trays. Yeah, something like that will work. I put it in, water it, it takes root and the dahlia grows. In the fall it will be ready, and next season there will be more dahlias. Alright, but I detached those, so I have to do something with them too. I trimmed or broke off pieces of the main dahlia clump. Look, here are already quite big ones, so I'll plant this pretty big one in a medium-sized pot, while the ones that are small I'll plant in these tiny little pots. I already mentioned it at the beginning, but I'll repeat it once again. Why do I force dahlias? Well, mainly so that snails don't eat them, and also so they grow a bit faster, because forcing also gives us earlier blooming. For me, it's mainly because every time I planted the dahlias in the ground, I didn't even get to see them sprout, because the snails were faster. Snails love those young, juicy green shoots. They eat the dahlias right away. And the result was always that I didn't even know where the dahlias were. The snails just ate them immediately. That's why for the past few years I've been starting dahlias by planting them in pots. I have fewer of them, but they bloom more beautifully. They're bigger, healthier, and most importantly, they're there. I put some really tiny ones in this big pot here. Take a look. I'll look for a pot in a moment, maybe even one of the ones I showed you here, although maybe these are too small, but I'll look for a smaller pot in a moment, and then I'll plant these. Maybe I'll cut them in half, make a few more pieces. These little ones, if they sprout, they'll grow. If they don't, well, that's just how it is. You have to take risks. I found these P9s, yes, P9 is so if they don't fit, I can trim them a bit. I'm putting one of these little ones into each pot, and now we'll wait for new dahlias to appear. My dear friends, let me know if you're also forcing dahlias. If so, how is it working out for you? And if not, maybe you can tell me what you do to keep snails from eating those young dahlia shoots. Because honestly, I don't really have a trick for them, and I'd love to find out because, it's not that easy. Planting those dahlias, then watering them, then moving them around in the greenhouse because I keep them in the greenhouse. Then soon the tomatoes show up, the dahlias get in the way, so you have to move them again, and so on and so on and so on. Because those dahlias, I only plant them in the ground after May 15th because if you plant them directly in the ground, you can do it earlier. Because before they wake up, before they start to grow, it takes about 2 weeks. But I plant dahlias that are already like that, so I can't do it earlier, only after May 15th. Let me know if you also force dahlias. And I encourage you to subscribe to the channel, turn on the bell, share this video so others also know what to do to keep the snails from eating them. Dali, and see you in the next episode.